Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Heather McBreen, who's here to share with us her new novel, Wedding Dashers. So are you looking for a rom-com page-turner that you just won't want to put down? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Heather McBreen currently lives in Seattle, Washington, but she spent the best year of her life living in London, where she completed her MA degree in Arts and Cultural Management. So welcome to the show, Heather McBreen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
My goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. So why don't you share with us what inspired you to write this book? I know a tweet was involved.
Yes, a tweet was involved, and that was a little bit after I had already started writing the book, but this book really came from my experience living abroad. I spent some time doing a master's degree living in London, and I just loved living in the UK, and so much of my experience was centered around traveling to different parts of the country and to other countries as well. And so much of that also involved a lot of travel mishaps, which is really where the idea for this book came from. And so I started working on it, was, into drafting it. And then while I was also drafting this book, I happened to about a destination wedding in the UK. I also happened to be planning my own destination wedding in Mexico. And so while I'm planning my own destination wedding, I had a friend who was one of my bridesmaids let me know that, she was a bit bummed because her plus one, her boyfriend at the time, they had broken up and he wasn't going to be able to make it. So she's flying solo to the wedding. And so my little romance brain starts thinking. And I remember I had just found out that my then fiance, my now husband, he had a friend who was going to come who happened to have been her high school crush when we all went to high school together. And so I kind of got to thinking, I was like, maybe that could be a cute little, there's meet cute potential there. And so I fired off a tweet about how I was more invested in this second chance romance than my own marriage. And not totally serious about that, but and this tweet totally blew up. I think it was something like 350,000 likes, and I had all these comments where people asking, "Where's the book?" or like, "This would make such a cute rom-com," or like, "Does Netflix know about this?" And I was a little bit chuckling to myself. I was like, "That's so funny because I am working on a book that it's not exactly the same premise, but definitely some familiar ideas about a destination wedding and a bridesmaid and some travel mishaps along the way. And in the end, the high school crush unfortunately couldn't make it to the wedding. He had not been able to get his passport updated in time, and so he didn't make it. But that did end up actually making it into the book because I needed a reason for why my main character was running a bit behind schedule, and I was like, her passport wasn't updated on time. So that's a little bit of a funny coincidence that happened.
Well, I know you've shared a little bit about the book with us. Can you just give us a little bit of a teaser about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my little elevator pitch would be that after a case of mistaken identity and an almost one-night stand, two stranded wedding guests must find their way to their final destination.
Ooh, my goodness. Well, I know this book takes us across England and Scotland and Ireland. So why did you choose these locations?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I kind of mentioned at the top, I had lived abroad for about a year and I lived in London and I did a lot of traveling while I was there and I just absolutely fell in love with beautiful countryside and the beautiful cities, the history, the culture. And so I thought that would be a really great place to set a road trip.
So was there any inspiration from your own wedding that made it into this book?
I will say from my time, there was a lot of my own kind of travel story that did kind of make it into here, kind of like funny, like winks and nods. I think my favorite is probably there's a moment where my two characters, Jack and Ada, are staying at an inn for the night. They have been temporarily delayed, so they're staying at an inn and they're trying to find something to watch on TV late at night. And they come across this reality dating show where the contestants are all naked, and it shows that on the screen, and they're a bit scandalized because they didn't realize they could show that on television. And this kind of came from my own experience when I was abroad. I remember being over at my friend's house. We're in London, and the show comes on, and I'm like, what? You can show this on television? And they're like, yeah, only after 9 p.m. And I just remember thinking that was so funny, and I was a little bit clutching my pearls over it. So I ended up putting that in the book.
So let's talk about the two main characters. Now, were they someone that was inspired from your own life, or is this entirely a fictional creation?
I think they are entirely fictional creations. There's obviously bits and pieces of them that maybe come from people I know or other stories I have consumed. Or in the case of Ada, I think there are some places where maybe she is reflective of myself. But I think that they really just came from a place in my head, imagining these two people on this trip together.
Wedding Dashers is such a fun read. Did you encounter any challenges when you were writing this book?
Oh, absolutely. All of writing is just challenge after challenge after challenge. It's all challenges. And certainly this one had its fair share. I think I wrote the story, I changed the story and rewrote it so many times, so many times. I think the main challenge with this one for me was, I think, well, when I write, I always say, if you're going to make a mess, you have to clean it up. And I think in my earlier versions of this, I made too many messes, and I was like, oh no, I have to clean up all these messes I made, and I don't think I know how to clean them up. So I think a lot of going back and making the story, just cleaning things up a little bit and changing elements of the story, and setting up my ending. And there was a lot of discovery of who the characters were, because they don't appear to me right away. I have to really explore them. They're kind of like an onion where I have to peel back the layers and discover them, but they're there somewhere in the story, and it's kind of my job to be like the archaeologist, I feel like, and uncover them and dig them up.
And I don't know if this is in the works or not, but if your book is adapted into a movie, who would you cast as the main characters?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. Let me think. Okay, so I will admit I'm not a super visual person, so I don't really see their faces when I'm writing them. So this was always a little bit tricky for me. I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I have thought about, for Jack, I really see him as like a Chase Crawford, but not Gossip Girl Chase Crawford, like current Chase Crawford, where he's got like the beard and the scruff, and he's a little bit older, a little bit more mature. That's Jack to me. Also very attractive. And Ada, that's a good question. Maybe like a Zoe Dutch, or I'm not sure how she says her last name. Is it Deutsch or Dutch? But she's so cute, and I think she's just such a darling rom-com lead. I think she could nail any rom-com character.
If that happens, you're going to have to let us know. We have to know that. So, where can our listeners go to learn more about your work and be part of your community? And also we of course want them to learn more about Wedding Dashers.
Yeah, absolutely. Best places to be part of my community, and I would love more community members. You can follow me on Instagram at Heather McBreen Writes. I'm on Instagram. I'm quite active on there, so that's a great place to find me. I post all about book stuff and other people's books and what I'm reading, and it's a really fun space. I also have a newsletter, which can be found at heathermcbreen.com. And the name of my newsletter is The Plot Girl Walk. As everyone who knows me knows that that's how I like to massage out any plot issues. I have to go for a walk. So that's where you can find me.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great chatting with you.
Well, thank you, Heather. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new novel, Wedding Dashers. Wedding Dashers is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere books are sold. And remember, support our indie bookstores. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.